Right, I'm finally getting rid of all my AEG tools. I've bitten the bullet and just bought all new Makita. I rang or contacted the Makita directly, and they really helped me out with a kit that had some bits swapped out because I already owned a couple of Makita tools. They were pretty helpful. They had an offer of 2 free batteries on a particular size kit, plus the Makita representative also throw in their Multitool, which is really nice. So these are all going to a new home. I was going to sell them, but I couldn't be bothered dealing with the people on eBay, so I'm just going to give them all to my brother. They've been really well used. I've always done the job. They're not bad, but they're really overpriced for what they are. They're all owned by the same mob who own Milwaukee, I think, and Ryobi. These are Ridgid in America, and they're a cheaper tool in America, whereas here they're sold as a premium brand. So, like I said, they're really well used. They've rarely failed, but they do have their idiosyncrasies, and I wouldn't go back to AEG. I'll just go through each tool one by one and tell you what I thought of it. Start with the brushless grinder. This is an older model. It's been pretty good. It really bogs down. It doesn't overheat. It's cut through a lot of metal. I rarely use a corded version, but having said that, I'm using the newer version occasionally at work, and that tends to overheat. I think the protection circuitry is too sensitive, and it bogs down all the time or overheats, but this is good. Right, the drills. Drills are okay, but the chucks are terrible. The chucks always tend to slip. This one's got an aftermarket chuck from a German brand, I can't remember. It's a bit better. Like I said, no complaints with the drills, especially this unit with the hammer and the driver setting, but the chucks are terrible. Another thing is the batteries tend to be on the whole pretty good. I've had a 4 amp hour fail, but the 6 amp hour batteries seem to be pretty fragile. Right, this is fairly recent. This is one of the new fancy models. Again, the impact drivers are pretty good. They're pretty tough. The chucks are sticky. They tend to just stick, so it can be a little bit tricky to get bits in and out. But aside from that, again, no complaints. They work really hard. I mean, this one's been through hell and back. It's still working fine. Again, brushless. .185mm circular saw. The safety button can be a bit tricky. Has been from new. I like the 185mm saws. I don't like the little 165mm ones. They're lighter, but forever just not quite deep enough cut. This will cut through a 90mm post. So what else? It sticks a little bit. You've got to be pretty gentle with how you push. So it constantly will stop, and then you've got to power it off, power it on again before it'll cut again. I haven't used the corded saw since I got this, but it's useful, but it just does tend to stick halfway through. It cuts a hell of a lot. I think new blades, good blades are important too, but it's robust and it's lasted really well. It's not particularly heavy. It does okay for a single battery saw. planer. Absolute garbage. It's just horrible. I basically inherited this one, so luckily I didn't use any of my money on it, but it's cheap and nasty. It's just junk. The Jigsaw is pretty robust and pretty well made. The issue with mine, I don't know if they're all like that, is that it's really tricky to get the bits inside the holder. You've got to really like almost open this beyond where it should be open and force the bit in and twist so it actually locks in properly. Aside from that, it's robust, it's effective, it's not bad. But speaking of jigsaws, this is their Multitool. You can see it's got a variety of heads that come with it. It's okay. The problem with this is it's not very robust in that it overheats quite easily, and then when it does overheat, you've got to wait a few minutes for it to cool down enough to start operating again. It'd be absolutely fine for just handyman use, but I used it for work and it did the job, but I was forever trying to blow air through it to cool it down or waiting for it to cool down, especially with the multi-tool attachment, the plunge cutter. But the actual jigsaw head on it, this is a beautiful jigsaw. It's good too that it's not particularly tall, it's very long, but I've cut through countertops with this. This is a really nice piece of engineering and design. It's beautiful. The multi-tool attachment works, but it's buzzy and noisy, and the biggest problem with it, and I've already gone through one of these, is you see that flex and wobble. They try to be too clever by half. This is some sort of magnesium alloy. It wears out. It wears really, really quickly, so that you end up with a lot of slop and a lot of vibration. The keyless system's not bad. Not as good as the Makita one, but it's not bad. But I've broken one of these already. Again, this overheats pretty quickly if you're using it in any sort of serious way. So that's the issue with that one. The Saber saw, it's pretty useless. It doesn't quite move fast enough, so forever catching on the blade teeth or catching on whatever you're cutting, and you're the one moving rather than the blade through the material. That's not very good. You're better off with a dedicated tool. It's not a particularly high RPM drill, but very handy for tight spaces. It's got a reasonable amount of torque as well. So that's not bad. Same with the impact driver attachment. It's handy. It'll get you out of trouble. Their little work light thing, garbage. Slightly more useful work light. You can have it bright or frosted like that. Yeah, it's not a great work light. Final thing I have is they have these little power heads for their batteries. It's got 12 volt output there, and USB there, 12 volt there. The problem with these is, as far as I can tell, they've got zero protection circuitry in them. Any sort of short circuit downstream from this, and the unit's gone. This is my third one. This one was nearly new when, I don't know, I can't remember what happened. Wires touched and bang, gone. So don't waste your money with this thing either. While we're on the AEG tour, why not? I've had this for a few years. It hasn't had a lot of use. It's powerful enough. It's okay. Biggest issue I had with it, again, the springs. It had two springs on the stand, almost like you'd need to be a bodybuilder to push down on it to get it to go into the material, just because the springs were so hard. So I've taken one of the springs off and it's better. Again, there's buy Makita, buy Milwaukee, buy anything. Don't buy that. And the final part of this jigsaw puzzle is the battery charger. They work. They got no external power on them. They've got no USB ports or anything like that, which the Makita charger does have. They can be fragile. I've cooked a couple of them, but after the last one failed, I pulled it open and found, I can't remember what the fault was, but it was a pretty obvious fault and it was pretty easy to repair. So they're quiet too because they don't have fans. And unlike the Makita, you can actually mount these to a wall with a couple of screws. So I'll show you my setup. There we go. Yeah, I had two like that, whereas so that's just leaning against the wall. But yeah, obviously I've gone and replaced everything. Anyway, I hope that's useful. If you're thinking of buying Makita tools, sorry, if you're thinking of buying AEG, if you're buying it in the States and it's Ridgid, I guess the pricing would mean that it's okay. But personally, I don't think they're that much better than Ryobi, and Ryobi is a lot better value for money. If you were looking for something complete, either go high end. As I said, Makita have really looked after me, and I've used their tools, and they're designed by people who give a shit about how you're going to use them, and you know, they have really good design features in them for the person using the tool. They're smoother, they're more powerful, they're just nice to use. Their little palm router that's been going forever is just a joy. Even that big monster saw, I got that, it was a bargain, I got it half price on a clearance at Bunnings. But dust collection's good. My old AEG saw, the 10-inch saw, 254mm, it's terrible. It had a built-in vacuum cleaner attachment. It never caught any dust. It was a mess whenever you used it. This is just so much nicer. So my advice is, don't waste your money on AEG. Not particularly great. Buy any other brand name. Buy Ryobi if you're looking for a bargain. That's my 2 cents worth. Not sponsored or paid or anything. This is just, I've used these tools for years. They've done the job. They've got me through a lot of work. I bit the bullet and changed them. I wouldn't buy them again, but they work. And yeah, the only real horror in all of this is the planer, I guess. So yeah, thanks for watching.